Hello and welcome to the second episode of 500 Fahrenheit. I'm your host, Steve Fletch. Last week, with my guest Alex Rose, we started to touch on the Threads idea vacuum. I wanted to follow up on that this episode and get a little more into the start of the Threads idea vacuum and how they incorporate the skaters that they choose to have in their videos. The first guest that I would like to introduce is one of the masterminds behind the Threads idea vacuum, filmer and editor Matt Creasey. Matt, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm all right, hanging in there. And the second guest that I have tonight is co-owner of the Politic brand and owner of the Vacation Skateboards. I'd like to introduce Damon Vorce, 100%. Damon, how's it going?
Greetings, friends. Doing well.
We're going to have to make that nickname stick now.
Dude, that was the best. 100%.
All right, so now that we've covered all the serious stuff, so Matt, I guess I'll ask you first. How did the Threads idea vacuum come into play? How did it start?
There was a good 5 or 6 year period where I really wasn't making videos. And then I decided somewhere in my late 20s I was going to make another video, but just kind of like a shop thing. And it was going to be just for fun and the last thing I do kind of a deal. And it didn't really work exactly how I had it planned. But one of the things that happened during it was David Clark filmed a lot of stuff with me for it, not for that video, but just kind of coming out on the sessions that we filmed for it. And then at the end, he was kind of, what do we do from here? I'm still pretty interested in filming. And so I was like, well, what can we do? And I had kind of seen recently Alex Rose's video Ghost Town, which I'd been a big fan and familiar with the Chattanooga dudes because it's about 2 hours from Atlanta. And I just kind of got this idea one day, what if I kind of take what he has and then I bring something to the table with the dudes that I skate with, which was David Clark and then another dude, Andrew Edge. And I pretty much just pitched it to him hey, I have this idea where you kind of take what you had in Ghost Town and I'll bring David and Andrew and we can make a full video off of it. And that's kind of where it came from. And pretty much, Alex came, the first time he came down to Atlanta to film for it, it just went really well. I think we knew day one that it was going to work. And it did. We filmed that first video, the first Threads, in maybe 7 months. And yeah, I mean, that was that. And one of the crazy things too, worth mentioning, I think, is that, David was on at the beginning to do it, and then he was filming for a Thrasher part. And so really, the first 3 months of Threads, he wasn't out with us. So that part that you see, he made in roughly 4 months probably.
Wow. And now, prior to, I guess, the collaborative effort of you and Alex, did you guys know each other well or just texting back and forth, or you guys were already...
No, I knew Alex really well because I've known him since he was, I would guess maybe 16 or 17, I think, because a dude, Chris Scoggins from Chattanooga, has been a long-time friend, and he introduced me to Alex, and Alex came down to Atlanta with him one day, and we just skated. So I've been well aware, and because, Alex made the video that he did through 10 Skate, and I'd been aware of 10 Skate since it started in 2004, 2005, whenever that was. So I definitely knew who he was, and we knew each other.
I guess for everybody who doesn't know, Chris Scoggins is I guess, what is he, the mayor
of Chattanooga?
Chattanooga, yeah, and runs Comfort Skate Shop. So he's a dude who's really at the head of the scene down there. He runs the shop out there. He puts in tons of hours and keeps it stocked. He carries a lot of good brands in there, and he's trying to show that stuff to the younger kids, and he's doing a good thing down there with Comfort. So Scoggins, good job, keep it going.
I think the mayor is a very appropriate title for him. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good dude. Definitely the mayor. Damon, how did you end up getting in contact with Matt? How did you guys connect?
Me and Matt, I believe that the first time we talked was with Head Cleaner. I think that Taylor had met Chris Thiessen on a Transworld trip, and he was going to Long Beach to film, and him and Spivey ended up staying in Long Beach for a couple weeks, and I think after that trip, I believe I reached out to Matt, and I think that's how Matt and I started talking, because I wanted to get Politic involved with Thread Cleaner, and so I think via Chris Thiessen, I think that I started talking to you. Does that sound about right, Matt? I think your memory's better than mine.
Dude, I remember exactly. Like Chris, everything was right. And then I remember, like, after, because Spivey was just coming out with Taylor, because Taylor kind of talked him into it. And the Spivey, like, part happened, like, with just Chris being such a maniac in terms of, like, how much he can get people to produce, because he just pulls the camera out, and, like, his aura or vibe or whatever, just, like, people are really comfortable. So, like, the Spivey part came out of nowhere, and I think that's when you were pretty hyped on it, and Chris talked to you. But then Chris was like, dude, this guy Damon's really cool, that does Politic, and, you know, you should just, I'll give you his number, you give him a call, and maybe you can see if, like, Politic would be willing to do anything for the video. And so I called you. Right. Yeah, we talked for, like, an hour and a half or something, I think.
I remember that.
And you made the Danny Renaud part happen, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, dude, the best part about that is, like, Spivey was supposed to go to SF. He flew to Long Beach expecting to stay for, like, 2 days tops. And he filmed a video part. It was sick. You know, like, it's like...
I think, too, Damon, because I seem to remember Spivey was, like, talking to me and Chris when he was in Long Beach when we were there. And he was, like, trying to film for, like, an OJ Wheels clip, I think. And I think Chris Thiessen's a really, really nice guy. And so, like, he wasn't, like, trying to say necessarily, like, no to that. But, like, I was, you know, because I saw, like, the value of what you know, what he was doing. And I think you also helped talk to Spivey, telling him that, like, hey, this is something, you know, like, this project they're doing, like, I kind of back it. Like, it's cool if you let him use your clips. I think that happened like that, too.
Yeah, I think he really enjoyed himself out there, and I think that was what surprised him. And he was able to get stuff done.
Let me ask this then. So, when, with Threads, and then David Clark had the part in that, right? He wasn't getting anything from Politic then.
No.
Well, I think I started talking to Chris about. I think Chris and Taylor had maybe brought up David, and I think I talked to Chris and maybe gotten David's number from Chris, or was it you, Matt?
No, I think I remember Taylor brought it up to Chris, and so Chris put me in touch with Taylor, and Taylor called me. This might have been the first time I even talked to Taylor. And he was just like, yeah, what's up with your dude David, man? Like, you know, he needs to be on Politic. And, you know, there's a couple people that had, like, come to me kind of saying the same thing. Like, hey, like, what's David doing, you know? But I think that's initially what happened is I think Taylor talked to me first. So I don't know if you and Taylor had previously talked about it, but definitely Taylor and I talked back and forth of, like, how we were going to talk David into getting onto Politic. And I tried a couple times, actually. I had, like, probably 2 30-minute, 40-minute phone calls with David about it.
I think, I don't know, maybe you gave me his number, because I know I cold called him.
Eventually I did, because when he was like, it got to the point I thought, like, the best I could do was, like, you know, he just didn't, I don't think he really knew what he wanted to do, you know? And I think that, like, I felt like a used car salesman, so I was like, Damon, I think I can, like, get him to just have a phone call with you, and that's the best I can do, you know? And so I told David, like, hey, like, I'm gonna give, you know, Damon your phone number, and, like, you guys can talk.
Now, did a dude like David Clark know what Politic was?
Yeah. Everyone I've talked to is always, other than Shops, have always said, yeah, I know about Politic, which is surprising.
other than Shops. I know all about that one all too well.
Yeah. Hey, you know, you're like, hey, I'm calling from Politic brand. Do you guys know about us? Huh? Well, I don't, you know.
Yeah, do you know Danny Renaud? Like, oh, he was in Mosaic.
He still skates? I thought he was dead. You're like, what? You know, it's funny when people they forget, and then the skateboarding keeps going, but, like, what they remember stops, so they just assume that it's done. And I think that happens to a lot of skaters. Like, people just forget about him and stop following him.
Matt, do you do all the editing?
It goes back and forth. Sometimes I do more, sometimes I do less. It just depends. The first Threads video I did, like Alex and I sat together and we kind of put it together at the same time. And then I did a couple parts like on my own. Like I moved to California at the end of it, so I finished it off after I moved and Alex wasn't there. But he would come to we would skate. He'd come down for the weekend and then we'd work on it and together on the same computer.
All right. Now, so you guys are working on it together. how do you guys transfer footage to each other? Would you guys use like a WeTransfer, or you have you guys mailing hard drives to each other, or how are you guys doing this?
Yeah, so when Alex would come, like whoever would go, if I would go to Chattanooga or he would come here to Atlanta, like when we got back, we would log the clips and just send like a WeTransfer. And then eventually what we did was made like a Threads like Google Drive, and we would just like post like the clips up there too. But for like the first 2 videos, it was like every weekend, like whatever we got from the weekend, just like WeTransfer it over, or if whoever filmed like a clip, like, if I filmed something, I would show him and send it to him. So we each had everything on each computer. You know what I mean? Gotcha.
And the WeTransfer holds the quality of the footage fairly well?
I mean, theoretically, it is getting, it's compressed, so, but I mean, really, who can, I mean, it takes a pretty trained eye to tell. It's pretty good still.
Yeah, I was just curious about that, because it is a quicker way of sending stuff. Right. I was just wondering what you guys used.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination, the WeTransfer and the Google Drive, but both are being compressed to some extent.
So then Alex would edit some parts and you would edit some parts, and then...
Yeah, I think the way, and I don't know how it is for everybody, but like he holds what he does like pretty near and dear to him. You know what I mean? And then like a lot of the stuff that I would film, like, in the first video, we kind of did the part starts with Hartman Austin. He's the guy that has the first part. And so I think we had both done an edit each, like Alex and I, of it. And then he came over one weekend and I had this Nina Simone song that he was really stoked on that I was just kind of messing with for Hartman stuff. And he was like, no, we should use this. And then we sat there in 45 minutes, him and I on the same laptop, and finished that part basically, more or less. You know what I mean? So sometimes it'd be like that. But like other stuff, like with like Nick Girton and Jim Arnold, like the people he was really skating with in Chattanooga, it probably took him a number of months to edit that part because he's going back. He probably made it like 3 or 4 times, and he would show me, and I would be like, oh, like this isn't right, or that isn't right, or what about this? You know what I mean? And vice versa. Like the stuff that, because I made Andrew Edge from Atlanta, and then David Clark's part, and it would be the same thing. It'd be like all these different versions, and I'd be sending them to him, and he'd kind of be telling me what needs to be changed. So like a portion of it's like a group effort, but then like the stuff that we really worked on, the stuff that he really filmed, he kind of edited himself.
And you guys are both pretty good with the open criticism to each other. It's constructive, and you guys are
definitely Yeah. Alex, that's the thing. Like, it's been very tough making videos, and I kind of give up for a long time because it is really tough to find someone who you can work well with. And Alex has taken criticism and better than anybody, and given it to me better than anyone I've ever worked with. And there was a point, like when we finished the first Threads video, I set it up to where I would finish it before I had to move. And it was like 2 weeks before we moved, and we had like a mini premiere at a friend's house, and just had like 6 or 7 people watching it. And I fucking, man, like was losing my mind because I'd already seen it. So I was like watching people's reactions instead of like watching the video, and people were like playing on their cell phones, and like I called Alex the next day and I was freaking out, and I was like, hey, like we have to redo like the video pretty much, like it didn't work. He was like, okay, well, what do you see? What like, he had me just point out whatever I could, diagnose wherever the issues were coming from.
Right. You gotta do what you feel is right sometimes, and it just might be over other people's heads, and eventually it'll click. And then there's sometimes, I'm sure you hear the, criticism, or you have an idea, and it's like, well, maybe they are right. Maybe this could be a little different. Sometimes you need to hear that, but that's awesome that you guys have that kind of a relationship you can work. That's really, really important.
He's in a lot of positions. He's told me things that were like that I was doing wrong, and it's like I've never gotten upset with him because it's just the communication, like for whatever reason, is really easy between us, man. He's really, I mean, you know Alex, so it's a little different. I know people out there listening don't, but like he's very open minded. You can tell like when you talk to him, he's listening. You know what I mean? And that's pretty rare. So as open as he is to considerations, it kind of put me in a position to be like the same way. So anything he says, like I give it a fair chance,
It's awesome. So you're making these videos. How much say does one of the skaters have to say to music, or do you pick the music for the parts, or how does that come about?
They're all different, and that's the thing is like with Threads, we've been really lucky. Not even lucky, but we really try to find people who want to make video parts. Like there's a difference. Like a lot of skateboarders, like they like to film or whatever, you know, they like to be in videos, but like they're not necessarily what I would call a video part skater. And by that I mean that like they can't look at a whole, like, you know, an open canvas and say, okay, here's the video part I want to make, like here's the kind of stuff I want to be doing, or like here's what I kind of want to express with it. And so we found the people kind of that can do that. And so some people, you know, like David, when we made the part for Threads, he knew what he wanted to do. And like, you know, early on, I think maybe the first song he might have showed me is that the Gratitude, the Beastie Boys song that's in the first song, you know? And then I found, you know, that song's off Check Your Head. So I thought like it would be a really kind of a rad kind of just, you know, to use another song from that album as like a concept for the part as itself. And so I had to sell him on that. But it was like what David was very good at, like he has a song he likes. I think in like in Head Cleaner 2, he had a song picked out. And so with him, I kind of know he's coming prepared, or I know he kind of has something in mind. So I give him a lot of, like I trust his judgment a lot, and vice versa. But for some, you know, I think he might have been the only one like that. I think everybody else just kind of in the first one went along with the flow of what me and Alex were kind of showing, you know, or suggesting, I guess.
Always one of those things I always wondered too, from making videos. Like when me and my friends were making videos, we were picking our own songs, and we let the skaters, every time if I ever made like a homie video, I'd somewhat let people pick their songs, and sometimes they're just so bad, and it's like, you know, you gotta say like, yeah, maybe you should try something else, this isn't working. But I can see why someone who's editing the video would kind of pick the music. And you can always kind of, I guess, you can take something from the skater, but kind of, I don't know. I don't always think it's the best to let the skaters pick.
It's funny, right? Like you're down to let them use the song they want to use if the song is good. You know, like it's
yeah.
Like a statement, but like it's really true. And I think I get a lot of sense too. Like I try to talk to, like, because with the Threads videos we have at points kind of branched out to people who aren't necessarily like in our immediate crew, you know? So I try to like get a sense at the beginning of talking to them, like what they, you know, I can get a vibe of like how much input they want. And like pretty much as much as they want to put into it, I'll let them have. You know what I mean? Like with Taylor, Naraki, and Head Cleaner, we had a lot of like text conversations and phone calls, like about, you know, he was kind of particular about certain things, and I was super hyped on that. You know, like we would talk a lot, and I would, you know, kind of tell him like, yeah, man, like tell me all your thoughts. And like James Coleman, like in all of his Threads parts, has been the same way, you know. And then Dom Henry in Super Visual was kind of the same way too. Like it was a lot of, you know, not back and forth, but just like giving me his input on what he thinks about video parts in general and his song. And, you know, you really edit the part 3 or 4, 5 times potentially, just based on making sure the skateboarder's happy, you know?
Yeah. Do you ever go crazy? Do you get it sometimes? You don't have to name names, but is there times when you're like, yeah, no, this is fine how it is?
Yeah.
I've had it.
Definitely.
Matt, you probably get that way with me sometimes.
Does Damon micromanage you?
But because, I mean, Damon, I think you kind of try, but you're too nice about it, man. You know, like,
I don't need to.
Like,
yeah, you do a good job, I guess, is what Damon's trying. Yeah. But Damon, you have input in stuff? You like to, I'm sure it's your guys.
Well, no, I think I like to help. I'm part of this as a friend where I have, like Matt will show me the Google Drive video, so I get to see it before, and I'll be like, that song doesn't work. Or I just be like, I'll send like a text of a jam that I'm listening to. I'm like, yo, this might be good for a video.
You found the James Ray song, Dom song.
Yeah. I found Dom song.
That was supposed to be Spivey's original song in the Head Cleaner part.
Yeah. It's funny too, because I'll hold on to stuff for a long time. Especially, and I think that worked out for Dom pretty well. Better so than Spivey.
Yeah.
I don't think I micromanage them, at least in Threads, in that way. And, which it is cool that they like let me be part of it, even though I have no connection other than I have no connection. You know, the skateboarders are skateboarders. I give them free skateboards, but that doesn't give me any right of entitlement. But
well, I guess you're kind of the producer, you know.
I wasn't on the first video though. That's what's
you weren't, but no. Like pretty much from there, you know,
yeah.
It's moved on, and the first video is kind of different, you know.
It also did. It's not like it was that long ago. The first video was what, 14 or 2015.
It was 2014. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You guys have put out 4 videos in 2 years. It's insane.
That is
Yeah,
wild.
it really is, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Alex, because I talk to Alex a lot, and he's told me about Pacemaker. You know.
I knew about Pacemaker before I knew about Super Visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
So should I explain that part? Maybe that might be
What's
so,
Pacemaker?
because the other things I didn't explain about Alex is like him and I talk probably every day on the phone about ideas. You know, it used to be when I worked in California, I would like call him because my commute was like an hour and a half, and I'd call him. And like now I call him on my lunch break, and we just talk about ideas. And the Pacemaker idea was like right after Head Cleaner. But I mean, we have fucking thousands of ideas. You know, like we were brainstorming the whole time. But Pacemaker was like this thing because it kind of made sense with Head Cleaner, and Super Visual was going to be after it. But then like, you know, the ideas didn't really work. Like Pacemaker was supposed to be something of like I don't know, I don't want to call it like an amateur skate video, but like, you know, Head Cleaner was so different in terms of it had names that people recognized more so than like what we had been doing before that, right? So I think we wanted to, like, Pacemaker is like, you know, it's like to keep the heart going, you know what I mean? Like that was kind of what we were like, it's keeping the heart going of like the immediate dudes in the Threads group, you know what I mean? But when we kind of had this opportunity with Super Visual to add a lot more people that weren't really fitting that idea for the video, and it was just a lot easier to film at the time, so we just kind of put it on the back burner.
You have these other projects, and then Pacemaker's still going with a different set of people.
Yeah.
And you guys are compiling for that. How close is that one to completion?
Oh, I mean, maybe like 20%, I'd say. We were filming, maybe a quarter. We were filming for stuff for Pacemaker probably like at the beginning of Super Visual, like we said, so we kind of like stopped most of it. But it's like, you know, like Alex and myself, and then the dudes that were in the first Threads video, like Jeremiah Babb, he lives in Atlanta, and then Andrew Edge, he had a part too. Like, we've been kind of saving our stuff while we're filming for Super Visual or Pacemaker.
It's cool because there's always something else going on while you compile that, and then you're putting out something, so it's still relevant, especially that we live in this now generation where you're still able to make full videos, but keep putting them out consistently so that people, it's still in their heads, you know, because unfortunately now we live in this whole now generation, and, you know, everything's forgotten about in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the videos get forgotten about.
No, they do.
But you're putting them out quick enough where it's still like, oh, these guys, they keep doing stuff. It's relevant. And, you know, I think that's the way you have to go if you're going to do anything these days. You do have to keep up with the times, and I think you guys do a really good job at doing that and doing it tastefully.
Yeah, I agree. I think the music too helps with the tastefulness. Going back to the music, like I don't think we mentioned the fact that how good the soundtracks are for the Threads videos. It's almost like a mixtape. You know, you could just listen to the DVD and it wouldn't bother you. And I think that's a great aspect of Threads is the music know-how and sort of how you fit it into an entire project. I really think that that's important and kind of adds to the overall vibe of Threads. I don't know if that was intentional, Matt.
No,
but
it is.
That's definitely like a huge thing.
It's certainly intentional. I think one of the things I've realized lately, I mean, when I say lately, I don't know, in the past couple years, is that the watchability of videos has kind of like lost a lot of the, you know, the emphasis that people put. And what I mean by watchable is just like, it's palatable, like you said, Damon, like, the soundtrack's something you can just listen to, like, not saying that I want to have someone watching the video that's not necessarily paying attention to it, but like, I want it to be something that can be watched multiple times, because maybe the fifth or sixth time you watch it, you get the stuff that we're really trying to do, and I know a lot of it is based, like, with the visual, with the notes, and like a lot of intricacies, but if the video just as a whole isn't like watchable, easily watchable, then you'll never get to be interested enough to pay attention to the rest of it, you know, and I think that, like, we didn't want that kind of part of skate videos to get lost, you know?
That's great. Because, I mean, it's too easy to, like, use an on-trend song, like, you know, trap music or this, that, and the other thing. And in 2 years, like, when you're not listening to that kind of music, you're not going to watch your video part. But with your stuff, it's always on a level where it's classic as skating is classic. And it's always going to be a good song to use, you know, next year or 10 years. And I don't know. Not enough videos are doing that where it's like, you know, watchable again.
Dude, I think that, you know, the three of us were a little bit probably older than, you know, not older, but whatever, like, you know, we're from a different generation of skateboarding, and I think there was a time when we were really getting into skate videos. Remember like the days where there was a ton of oldie songs. Videos were easy to watch, like, and they were kind of timeless based on that. But now it is totally like the songs not just being so current, but stuff being like so intense or for whatever. Just like it kind of it date stamps a video in a weird way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, even early '90s. I mean, there's parts you just hear a song and then you'll think of that part or that time of your life. Could be on the radio, you're at Target or something, who the heck knows, and like a song will come on and that song from that skate part. I think now it's just not like that. I think even too with music rights and everything, there's a lot of beats, a lot of instrumentals, because it's easier to get the rights for them. And it's just, there's not that, like, I remember you would hear a song though and you're like, oh, Rick Howard skated to this, and it's just in Goldfish, like, that was a song. I remember that. I remember what I was doing when I saw that video. I remember that time, and like you could go back because it was just the music was good. Now it's a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people are recycling music too, which is
it's weird that it doesn't happen more in skating if you think about it. I thought about that the other day because
it's like accepted now, and it's so crazy. Like it's accepted.
ABDs are okay now too.
Yes.
The art of making a video is definitely, the rules have changed in a way because of the whole process of videos coming out so often. But
I think there's a lack of respect too from the younger generation where they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. That's the thing. The great part about it is they don't care in a way, not to be disrespectful, but in a way that, dude, I'm not going to do my homework. I'm just going to skateboard and I'm going to make a video. And that's it.
Absolutely.
They're not being like, fuck these dudes. They really don't care because they just want to skate and make videos, which is cool. And, you can't be bummed on not knowing their history, but I think that's what it is. Like, kids just, why would they dig up Thrasher when they never even looked at magazines? It's tough. They don't know. It's the lost generation. Like, skateboarding is on its way out, and, we're like the last front to keep the history going. And if the now generation isn't really going to learn the past, they're definitely not going to, worry about preserving the history of skateboarding. So they don't care. And it's sort of, skateboarding is itself is like a lost art, if you will, because, I feel like our generation has a lot of respect and pride in what we've done, where, we respected tricks that were already been done. You wouldn't use a song that was just taboo, where now it's like kids don't even realize that that's taboo. So
I thought about this quite a bit, man. And I think there's just a lot of barriers that were broken down and a lot more access to kids that are younger. I mean, think about it, like 20 years ago, if you really wanted to make a good video, like, a VX was like $4,800. You know what I mean? Like, it would have taken so much effort to get in to do something that only the people that really, really wanted to do it and respected it did. But now, for like $500, you can get a setup, put your videos on YouTube, and show it to the entire world, and it's really at the palm of your hands for kids. And so it's like easy come, easy go. They didn't have to really put forth a ton of effort or learn about anything to get to that position. It was just it's just out there, for better or for worse.
It's totally changed. I mean, mommy pays for the cell phone and the internet, and they can go out and film things on their phones and, upload it from their phones. They don't even have to do anything like that. These kids can edit the stuff on their phones, and they'll do whatever, and they just film it. They don't even, it's like, oh, and that's just up.
Right.
We just put all this up.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the values have changed because, these kids at the skate park or wherever, like you said, they're filming it off their iPhones. And so they're hyped on it, but they also value anyone else doing it the same way just as much. Like, they don't have any extra value necessarily on someone, making a full video, or a video that, with parts that's made with real effort. They're just as stoked to see someone else film their iPhone clip. You know what I mean? And so.
Well, they think that's what skating is. And, I guess that's where what you guys are doing with Threads is such an awesome thing, because it's really hard to make a full-length video now. It's just, from a brand standpoint, it's a difficult thing, because you'd have to save all of the footage. You don't have anything coming out, and your brand could even be forgotten about. And, there's only so much power to a throwaway clip you throw out here and there just to, promote your brand. When you're saving all the good footage for the video, it makes it really difficult unless you're a really big brand where all of your riders are known. It's very difficult. So what you guys get to do is incorporate some of these riders into your videos, and you guys can promote them. And you guys have done, I think, out of any of the independent videos that I've seen, I'd say you guys really do the most, almost incorporate them as a company's video. You guys had it was a vacation promo at the end of your video.
That's different. That's different, I think. I will say, like, I agree with you, Steve, but that one instance is sort of like, what do you think, Matt? I feel like I sort of took advantage of that where, we were going to try to, I don't know.
I don't know if I'd say you took advantage. I think it was an offer that everyone was happy with, but I think also that may not exactly happen again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I want it to be, I don't want, like, everyone in Threads wants, like, kind of what we're stoked on, and that includes the companies to be shown, like, like with Alex Schmidt and Trevor Thompson in Super Visual, like, that, I mean, I don't really have much, that's the first kind of whatever relationship I had with Weekend, but, like, we were stoked on those dudes skating, so it's like, but we believe in what those guys are doing as well, even though I'm not.
But I think it's cool that I think it's cool you kept them together.
That's
you know what
true.
I mean? Like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, you give it the feel where you can still relate it to a company.
Yeah,
you guys kept them together.
Because I think some people didn't want us to do it that way, but I thought that, like, it might be more potent to show it that way. You know what I mean? I don't want to use the term movement, but yeah, I did want like Weekend to benefit from it. You know what I mean? Because I want people to look at it maybe about next time with the next video we do, and see it positively about thinking about, if it's a small brand, like, riders, they have to be a part of it, and, have them be hyped on being in it, as opposed to, like, oh, these guys are just taking the footage from us,
Like, I like how you keep it together, so it is relatable to a brand. It's not just a part in a video, some other parts, another part with another guy. Like, it's really, you guys will do those things where you tie it together really well. And from a brand owner's perspective, I think that's really, it's as good as it could be. If the brand isn't going to use the footage for themselves, I think it's the best way to go about to help promote the brand is by putting it together and doing something like that. And you guys do it, and it's not where you're making it like an advertisement for that brand. I guess it's more tasteful, I want to say, how you guys do it. It's subtle, but it's there.
It's not as partial, maybe?
Like, those are the Weekend dudes. Like, oh, dope. Like, these are the Weekend guys. Like, without as much as saying, like, the Weekend dudes.
Yeah.
No,
that makes sense. Which I'm glad you noticed that, man, because that's definitely a point that without, stating it, that we want the companies to be happy. You know what I mean? But the dudes that are in the videos, for sure. It's pretty important to us.
Would you make a brand-specific video? If a brand was like, hey, we want you to make our video, you put your twist on it, but it's our video, these are the guys you're going to work with, and that's it. Would that be possible for you guys, or that's just not what you guys are about and it wouldn't be enjoyable to do?
No, well, I mean, when you say that, it'd be possible, but it'd be funny because you would just be basically taking the Threads logo off, because it would be like still me and Alex and Chris if he was available, to make that. We'd be making a video, I'm sure, but it would just depend on the group of people. You know what I mean? Like, if it's something I think we believed in and backed in, and get along with the people, yeah. But I think it'd be tough for us because, like, it's very tough. Like, maybe in my early 20s there was a point when I thought, like, I could do this professionally, and I went on some, like, Satori trips, and it just, it was kind of fucking miserable, man. Like, I didn't handle it so well. So I don't know that, like, if that's how it would be received or how I would take it again. It's because at some point, I'm making something for somebody else. And it's a different type of a pressure. You know what I mean? And so I would say it's possible, but also probably unlikely.
Hey, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you're working on the Vacations full-length video, though.
Yeah, but that's what I said. It's basically taking.
So that is actually happening.
Yeah, but that's like me and Alex and Chris, and it's gonna be Spivey and Powderly, and it's just we're just gonna take the star off.
So what's the timeline for this one?
Whew.
What, vacation video or?
Yeah. No, the vacation video.
What'd we say, Matt? Next spring?
Yeah, that's what we said. Which is totally possible.
And is this full part, or you got part, montage, part?
We're working with parts, baby, I think.
I mean, that is the goal. I think because, like, Jonathan Ettman
That's what I was just going to ask. Who goes out to Colorado, or are you guys going to bring him down?
No, so I think he's pretty comfortable. I talk to him every so often, and he's like let me and Damon both know that he's pretty comfortable out there, and if it's all the same, he'd like to do what he does out there, which I was fucking stoked when he said that, because anytime someone like feels strongly about something, like I'm down for them, you know what I mean, to give them the freedom. But I think, you know, there's a guy, he I don't know if Chris James still lives with him, but he's filmed stuff for Threads before. He's from Florida, and Jonathan's from Florida originally too. So those guys live either with each other or close to each other, and he just basically films Etman all the time. So that guy's been out there doing that for like what, Damon, like the past 6 months, you think?
Yeah, if not longer.
If not longer. Yeah. So he's in a really good position.
All right, but that's really cool. But it makes sense, and that's like we lucked out with Zach Chamberlain, and you know, these guys are friends with him, and they're out there, and they'll film with him, and it works out where he's filming his friends. So yeah. I get that. I totally get that. Like, there's those, but it's a rare instance, but I do think it's awesome that you are doing that, because I do feel that the small brands, regardless of the independent video showcasing their riders, I really feel that they still need some sort of a video presence based around the brand. I really still think that's important, and I'm really happy that you are doing that with Damon and the vacation. And I think that's good for skateboarding, and I think it's good for the brand and good for the riders. And I really just like the direction that that's going, and I'm happy to hear that. That made my night.
Well,
thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thank you.
It's just because it is one of those things. I know owning a brand, the hardest thing is getting footage from people to work on a project, which I understand, because the filmer is out there as much as all of the skaters who are getting the clips, not just the one dude filming, but every dude that's trying to get clips, you're out there with them. So you're putting in the work of like 10 dudes. And it's a lot goes into it to say like, hey, I can pay you X amount for a clip, or here's a deck. And, you know, it's like, oh, I spent like 10 hours on this, you know, and you can't, you know, break it down into a payment or anything that is actually what it's worth. So I do understand that, but, you know, I think that's cool that you guys are going to work on something, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
How long has this been in the works?
Since day one, I feel like.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for quite a bit. But then, you know, the thread cleaner thing. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna. I don't hate to talk over you, Matt, but honestly, the reason we could go back to this, the reason that the promo in Thread Cleaner happened was David was supposed to have a part in Pacemaker, right?
Yeah, he was.
And then we ended up using the old footage of David for Thread Cleaner to save it for the next video. And in that meantime, everyone is able to get enough footage to have a part. And that's sort of how Super Visual happened, isn't it?
That's correct. Yeah, that's where David's part went. And we padded it because Etman had like the full part kind of already built mostly. And then Powderly and Spivey did also. And so it was able to kind of pad like David's stuff was a lot of the high 8 and then a lot of the HD stuff that he had that we just hadn't used yet, you know? So that's exactly how that worked. That's what gave us the ability to hold on to David's part that you see in Super Visual.
But it also gave everyone time to start working towards a vacation video, because I think a lot of the stuff for Super Visual was, you know, I don't think it was before vacation, but it was sort of like it was already planned. They had already been filming for stuff, right?
That's true.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't like, you know, so it's easy for us to move on to a vacation video, more so than if we had just started working on a video. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, for that, and because I think everyone got acquainted really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It makes
really
it easier.
Yeah.
So it does sound crazy, Steve, but it doesn't seem like we're asking for much, because of the way that the past couple of videos have come out. It seems like everyone will be fine.
I think, and maybe Steve, you don't know this either, but like with the Threads videos, it's so much a logistics process. Like that's probably, I've really thought about it before, like in terms of like a regular job, like trying to get like some sort of project manager or like logistics job, because like it's forced me into doing so much of that. With Threads, like you know, we told you earlier, like the Spivey part happened in a week because he came to Long Beach and it turned into what it did. But you know, like also for like the Powderly part, you know, I mean, he did film in Baltimore some, but it was like, okay, he has one trip where he can go on with Chris Thiessen in New York for a couple days. You know, like Alex can go to Baltimore for a couple days to film. He's going to come here with Chris on a Transworld trip for like 5 days. I can film 2 of those days with him. Like, you know, it was like, here, we basically have like 15, 17 days to film. That's what you have to make a part. You know what I mean? And so we've been kind of in that mindset, or like within those parameters for like the past 3 videos, you know? So we've kind of figured out how to make it work so that when, you know, we have to do something in a quick amount of time, really, like, we kind of know how to do it. You know what I mean?
And everybody has to be on that game plan, though, because otherwise it would just be forced footage, which it doesn't seem like all the stuff you guys have is forced footage. But parts aren't usually made in 27 days. So again, that says you guys are doing something right, too, that you got these guys comfortable enough to film in a short period of time and work for the goal of having that part where they want to do it.
Yeah, I think it's just about comfort. I think, you know, like David's part in Super Visual, I probably filmed with them, like, I don't know, I would definitely say less than 20 days total for that.
Damn, really?
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good one.
Because David works a lot, I work a lot, like, here we have, like, the second weekend of the month, like, we have that Saturday, like, next week maybe Sunday, then, you know, maybe 2 weeks off, like, that's how it went.
Yeah, it's even sicker.
Yeah, I had no idea that's the program you guys were on at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
so
much logistical shit, man. So much. Like, that's really the hardest part, to be honest.
Everybody getting older, like, there isn't the time you have when you're, you know, 16, 17, 18, 20 years old. And you got to make the most of it. And it's awesome that you guys are able to.
That's the only way it's worked so far, you know?
I was just going to kind of say that I think it's great that it does work because, like, everyone is claiming that independent video is dying. And these guys, you know, have put out 4 videos in like 2 years, and the videos they're good. So I think it is important what you guys do. Even Matt, if we didn't work together, I think that I told you before, like, I valued what you guys did. And you don't make a big deal about it. And I think that's one of the nice things about having the smaller dudes' names and mixed in with the bigger guys is that sometimes the videos don't get blown out so much, like a Static type video where, you know, Static is sick and Josh is really sick and he's done so much, but really it's sort of like, it's almost a cult following more so than people actually really appreciating what Josh does. And I think that you guys have that, you know, you don't have the hype that Josh has, but you guys still have the hard work and people are down to do it. And I think that's sick.
I think, you know, looking up to, like, being such a student of skate videos, I think what Josh kind of brought in that was original with, like, the Static, and probably starting more with, like, Static 2. I mean, Static 1 too, but he was the first person to kind of group in, like, the super team of underground people, like the super lineup of all underground people, and it was totally different. But since then, I think, I'm not saying anyone in particular, but I think a lot of people have gone for aiming for the same target, you know? And I think we thought about it, like, well, first off, like, I don't know if we could even get that lineup if we wanted to, but even if we could, like, what we would be doing nothing different, you know? And so I think that, like, for me personally, that's kind of another big challenge was, like, mixing in people, you know, like a name you might recognize with a name you might not, but, like, viewing them the same, with the same cachet, which a lot of people don't, but, like, if some people will give someone a chance they never heard of because a bigger name's in the video, then, like, that's probably the biggest compliment we can get, you know what I mean?
Right. So getting back into things, you have a lot of these guys in the videos, and I guess we'll even tie it back to Damon and Politic and The Vacation. But a guy like Dom Henry, who isn't from the United States, like, how does he end up in a video? How did that happen? How did that part come about?
So that was pretty wild. Okay. Alex and I were fans of Dom. From the 11th hour, we were watching that video one day, and, like, Dom wraps up one of the montages with, like, a nollie backside flip over a street gap, I think it was. And we were just, like, we thought the dude was really rad. And somehow, some way, Alex is like, hey man, I heard that guy gets Politic boards now. I don't know who told him, how he heard it, whatever. But it's like kind of the point, Damon, when I first started talking to you, And I think I just texted you one day and I was like, hey, do you give Dom Henry boards? And you said, yeah. And then from there, you gave me his email, or that you talked to him, right, Damon? You maybe reached out to him?
Dude, I don't know. Probably.
Okay, yeah, I think okay, no, I don't know how it went. Damon, you told him, you're like, yeah, I give him boards, I'll give you his email, and I'll tell him you're gonna email him. So,
yeah.
I emailed Dom, like, not knowing him at all, like, never talking to him. I'm like, hey, I don't even know if you're, like, really aware of what we do over here, but me and this guy, Alex, are really hyped on you, and we had this idea, like, what if somehow you could have a part in our video? Like, I don't know, because we were, like, sending the Hi8 camera out to people, like, we'll send you a Hi8 overseas. If you have someone to film you, you send it back to us, whatever. And he was like, yeah, sure, but actually, I'm coming to New York in, like, a week. And the craziest thing is this is how also Marshall Nicholson comes in, too, because Marshall Nicholson filmed some stuff for James Coleman that we used in Head Cleaner, and I really didn't know Marshall either. And so I text Marshall, I'm like, hey, this dude Dom, which I've never met before, I don't know, but he seems like a cool guy, is coming to New York to film for a Converse clip, but I'm going to talk him into filming some stuff for our video too. Like, what would you think about going and meeting this dude, filming him, and then having it basically turn into a part, potentially, for our next video? And Marshall, I think, I don't know what he thought, but he said yeah. And so I sent Marshall a Hi8 camera and a tape and kind of told him, like, all these ideas I had for how I expected this part to look for Dom, and basically emailed back and forth with both of them saying, like, what I kind of pictured. And so every day they would film on the iPhone the clips off the Hi8 saying, like, is this right? Is that right? Are we doing it right? And they would film me also the clips from the VX. And it was like I was going back and forth with both of them. And then I think after Dom, it was only like 4 days maybe 3 days they had to film in New York. And basically that's like half the part. And I think Dom was like so kind of like refreshed or stoked on that approach that he said, like, I'm going to find a way to come back. And I think you helped him get back to the States again one more time, right, Damon?
I think I might have got him and Marshall down to Florida.
Yeah.
Or
so
Atlanta or something.
He met Marshall in Florida and filmed for like 4 days with Marshall, and then came here and filmed 3 days for me. So what is that? Like 3, 4, 3, like, I mean, basically 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was
you
like,
can notice it
yeah,
a little bit too.
You can.
Like the clothes and the shoes, which is like, I don't even know if kids pay attention to that stuff anymore, but like, oh, he's wearing the same shoes his whole part. Like, or the same 2 different pairs. That's pretty sick.
I think that's one of, for Threads, like the biggest achievements we've had, is because the 3 days Dom was like here, like in Atlanta, everyone loved him. Like,
yeah.
Him and David became friends. Like, he stayed with Andrew Edge. Like, those dudes got along really well. And in Florida, he was skating with like Jimmy and Danny and James, and I think they drove around together and they got along well. And when he was in New York, he was with Marshall, and then my like one of my longtime friends was Chris Head, who has like a part in the first Threads video. So it was like he really did become a part of Threads, and he was like, I think he bought into the process. Like he was like, yeah, these guys are for real. Like, I go to like 3 corners of the fucking country, and like these dudes are all like basically buddies with me instantly, and they all kind of, you know, he clicked with everybody. And so that was to me like, I don't know, pretty crazy, because just like a couple emails turns into that. I was really pleased that happened.
Since you guys, you know, work with each other on the vacation all the time, how exactly did the vacation come about, and how did it start? And were the riders somebody that you had planned already, or how did everything go down?
There's 2 parts to the story. There's sort of the like daydreaming part that me and Spivey had started, and then sort of the combination of the Threads connection, where having planted the seed in Spivey's head, and at the same time, like, having reached out to David about writing for Politic, and Matt talking to David about writing for Politic, Jason being in Atlanta, meeting David, I really think it was like a really sort of organic thing. That's what I think. It's sort of like an organic thing that happened with me and Spivey daydreaming. And, you know, having wanted to be part of something with David, you know, I remember offering that to him, like, on the phone. I was like, hey, if politics isn't something you'd be into, what about if we started another brand? And that was something that he was interested in with, and I think that having David hung with Spivey and Creasey being in his ear, I think helped sell the total deal. But definitely it wasn't the vacation at that point. It was just the other brand, if I'm not mistaken, because Matt, how long did we go back and forth with names? I don't
No, a long time.
Yeah.
Are there any names you guys were close on that you didn't use but kicked back and forth?
Burnt,
but like,
yep.
but not burnt like toast. Not,
Yep.
That one almost happened.
One of them that I always liked is currently possibly in use by a famous pro. I think that's kind of cool. I won't say it. I guess you can cut that out.
Vallely Skateboards?
That actually would have been sick.
Yeah, because he doesn't even use it. That would have been awesome. Do you remember Transit?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Charlie Wilkins.
Yep.
Yeah. So there was Transit. Like, do you remember? Oh God, Mike Vallely bashing now. I'm sorry to tie this up, but he had a brand called By the Sword.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, and one of his things, his whole big spiel was like, "This is my brand. It will never go under. I'm going to do it forever because it's mine by the sword," or something dumb like that. And it went out of business in a week.
It was so fast.
Now it's Street Plant brand. Yeah, I have a copy of Mike Vallely sponsored VHS tape. It's the only VHS I own.
He came to Atlanta on that trip.
Dude, is that when he was doing a one-man skate tour?
Yeah, like he had the Jeep, and all I have is my Jeep and my water, his bottled waters, I think, and he traveled like half the country by himself. He skated the 40-yard spot.
You should put him in a Threads video.
Dude, his Long Beach part was kind of rad, man, in all seriousness.
So did you assemble the team and then the name came along?
Yeah.
Like, you heard the vacation. Was that like, yes, that's it right away? Or was it like, hey, how about vacation? And you're like, how about the vacation?
Well, dude, the reason why the vacation came about was because there probably still are currently 3 vacation skateboard companies on Instagram. And I didn't want to deal with having to, have misfiring on the vacation skateboards. Like, I couldn't get the vacationskateboards.com. Just vacation skateboards. So I was like, what if we just called it The Vacation? And everyone was kind of hip to the idea because it was easier to change the direction of vacation skateboards to The Vacation, versus totally changing the name, because getting a name is terrible. Not easy.
That was the biggest hurdle. Remember, Damon? Because like the thing I think also, like, to add to that, like, when the team happened so quick, like, Hatterley, the footage tape is his part in Thread Cleaner. And so is Spivey's stuff was all that Colin Heindel filmed that stuff of Brian and of Jason. And so that stuff was immediately there. Like, you talked to Etman and he was like down basically from the rip. Right, Damon?
Yep.
And then he had all the footage already too. It was just like, everything was there within like 2 weeks, but the name was the only thing that like kind of, we were stuck on the name for like a month and a half, or maybe 2 months.
Yeah, we had all that Potterly footage because he was supposed to do an edit for Vu's Skate Shop and Politic. It was going to be, we did all these like little Politic and shop flow edits that we got really good success with, and all that was supposed to be for the skate shop, but we took it all for vacation, which is, I think it worked out pretty well.
I think so.
Was Gary heel bummed?
Gary was psyched on vacation. Gary's just psyched that his dudes get,
hooked up and you're doing the right thing by them.
Yeah.
He gets it. He skates. That's awesome.
Baltimore is one of the best, best scenes in the States.
Agreed.
I think. One of the best.
Everybody I've met from there seems they're awesome.
Well, it's still a skating city. Everyone goes there to skate still. No one's there to go to party. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, New York, LA, SF, they're party cities with vacation skating. But Baltimore dudes just go there to skate. Sort of like Newark, dude. Anyone that goes to Newark is totally skating. They're not like going there to party. And there aren't that many cities where, you can get away with just that. Not to say that dudes don't party in Baltimore, but, I think that you get a lot of guys going there just to ride skateboards.
Which always makes it really productive. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, is that it?
I mean, you think that's enough to work with? I think it's fine, but what do you think, Creasey?
But also, like, Damon and Steve, you too. Do you think, because when you talked about making a brand video, I just don't want to sound like a dick, Damon, and say like, no, we're not going to do it. And then, we will,
Yeah.
Well, it's a different circumstance. I mean, it almost is, being that you do the, help with the art direction of the brand, and So it's not faking it. You're not making a Threads video for vacation. It's a vacation video with the art direction of vacation. I think that's fine.
Okay.
I think too that Matt, you know more than anyone that your videos are going to be the way that they are no matter what. If it's for Threads, vacation, Nike, you know what I mean? You're going to make the video you know how to make.
Right, which is why you would want Matt to make a video. It's the same thing like when we have Mandible Claw make an edit. I know it's going to be a Mandible Claw edit. I'm not going to say, oh, God, I could only imagine if I even tried that. But it'd be like, yeah, make it like this, and Colin would be like, fuck yourself. That sucks. He does what he does. Zach does what Zach does. And there's a difference. But I'd like to think we laid out a good enough floor plan of the brand where we can give them enough to work with, where they can give it a set feel, where even if there's their different styles, that, they can still make it feel like a Northern video, or, that these brands have a set thing, like a Politic video. In my head, I could figure out what a Politic video should kind of look like in a way. And I think there's different ways for different editors and videographers to have that point come across with their own styles, but it would still, fall in line where it doesn't look like something else. Like you wouldn't want, do a Politic video that looks like a Polar video. Like that would be dumb.
For sure.
Right.
So.
Well, Politic just did a video, Steve. How do you feel about it?
It felt like a Politic video.
There you go. That's all that matters.
It did. It felt like a Politic video. When I watched it, it wasn't anything with the effects and how they had everything. It stayed in a format that looked like everything else you guys had. And, it was what I was expecting. You had the old, the old footage mixed in with everything else, and the way it's like kind of staticky at times. Like that's the aesthetic of the Politic videos. People's Temple and Division, like it all fit in.
That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's what you want, and it's cool. Like it felt like a Politic video. It had a feel to it. It wasn't just a video, So definitely mission accomplished. It had the aesthetic of the video.
Cool.
Should have. All right, so I guess that about wraps it up. I just going out. Usually I ask a few questions. So I guess just you two, the first thing that pops into your head, feel free to answer with that. What was your first board, Matt? We'll start with you. Like, what was your first deck?
I had a Tony Hawk Mini that was like under 7.5 inches wide, but like with the classic Tony Hawk like bird skull logo with some like Venture Low super featherweights, and then I had like these Fireball 37mm Powell wheels.
Did you pick everything out yourself, or was it a set complete?
Not a damn thing. That's what I got,
Was this Christmas or?
Yeah, it was Christmas.
Did you ask for it?
You
just get it.
But you know what I asked? You know what I asked for? I wanted a stereo board. That's what I wanted with Thunder Trails. I wanted like the deluxe setup because someone told me, and I got like the exact opposite. No, yeah, it was awesome. I still have it, I think.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wish I had mine. And Damon, what was your first board?
It's kind of a funny story. It was a Shine Damon Byard, with trackers and A1 meats, and I think I was 12 or 13. Yeah, 12 or 13. I got the board because his name is Damon. And I thought that's what you did. I didn't know any better. I got a CCS from my cousin, and I didn't even know any of the skaters. So I didn't care who it was. I just thought it was cool that I had the same name as me. I think awesome. It was 92 because it wasn't quite a popsicle shape. And I remember my older buddies, like, we cut it down so it was a little bit smaller. It still had like that little, it was almost shaped, but not really. Remember that?
Was it like a football?
Yeah. Remember that? The boards were like,
it
was like 92. It was before, like, I think 93, 94 is when they really started getting flat popsicles. Yeah, because they were still kind of getting them, and they were kind of like football-y. Yeah, so me and my buddies cut it up. So it was tight. But that was, complete would last you an entire year, It was everything. Yeah. And then you just got a new complete instead of a new board. You didn't realize you could just get pieces. So that's awesome you had A1 Meats. That was like, were you familiar with the brand at all, or was that just like, and these wheels? I knew nothing. I got like a $59.99 complete from CCS because it was cheap. I stacked wood for a weekend, and that's how I got it. A1 Meats was like the brand. It was awesome. Jason Dill was on it. Did you ever see the video? That was like Jason Dill skating Huntington Beach. Jason Dill, right? Yeah, and it starts with him, and he's like this little tiny kid, and Kareem Campbell's in it. Damn.
Yeah, yeah, it's a sick video. Like you watch it, and I guess it looks like they're in like I want to say, it's not San Diego. There's like this
Probably.
block 3
They were
spot.
Southern California.
It might have been. Yeah, there's like this block 3 spot, and there's like a lot of the same spots in the video. But yeah, it's just Cream Camels in it and Jason Dill. It's a good video if you ever watch it. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen it.
But it's cool. Like I love I wish it would almost come back. Like they had this awesome shirt with these meat cleavers. And it says A1 Meats. Like that was their logo, which is a blast from the past. But yeah, awesome brand. Gun to your head, all-time skate shoe. Like what would it be?
The Kareem Campbell. Speaking of Kareem Campbell, his Duff shoe, the KCK.
Damn, good one. The white one or the black?
Yeah,
No,
what color?
It has to be both. I had both, but the thing was the black, because the black ones were an oiled suede.
Oiled suede, and the white were like
suede
plastic leather. They were weird.
Yeah, the white didn't skate as well, but they looked better. But the black one skated really good because the oiled suede was like grippy. You know what I mean?
Yep, those were amazing, and that was like the first that skate shoe that didn't look like a skate shoe.
That had to be the first, right? Seriously.
Yeah, it was cool. Such a good shoe, such a good time in skating. All right, so Damon, your one shoe, you get to pick one shoe the rest of your life. All-time favorite skate shoe is
Navy Old Schools.
Wow, with a white sole, white stripe.
You thought you were expecting the half cab?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I Navy. If I didn't have ankle problems, I would strictly skate in Navy Old Schools. They look so cool.
The best person I ever saw with that colorway, and I always think that that's the colorway, was Aaron Schott. Dude who was on Traffic.
Oh, yeah, that dude.
Yeah. And he had them, and I was like, oh my god, these are like the coolest shoes.
You know who sold me on the Old School was Guy.
Guy Mariano. And
Mouse.
what's
In Mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Vans weren't. I'm not gonna say they weren't cool then, but they weren't cool then.
They weren't.
They were not
really
cool.
weren't.
No,
they were.
And it was
not
like,
even
whoa,
cool.
he's making them look cool. Like, wow, like how did that happen? And he even had sheep shoes on in that part.
He did. Yeah. He had the blue canvas.
Sick half cab flip, nollie one, right?
Yeah. All right. So before we head out of here, I guess Matt, again, we'll start with you. But anybody you want to plug? Anything you want to say going out?
Yeah.
Here's your chance.
Okay. I definitely, with the threads is the subject of the night. It wouldn't really be possible without everyone involved. Alex Rose, Chris Thiessen, and then, everyone skating wise, like Jim Arnold, Nick Girton, Andrew Edge, David Clark, James Coleman, and that's really it. And then, we got a lot of help along the way. Damon, you did a lot for us. Also, I wanted to thank Josh Stewart. Theories really kind of backed us from the beginning too, and I think that was a big help as well. And then Transworld kind of from the head cleaner point helped a lot too. So I owe all those people a lot.
Where can they contact you? How can they, if somebody isn't familiar with what you're doing, how can they do some more research about it?
Well, we don't really have much of a social media presence, so that might be difficult. To be honest with you, and which is kind of by design. You know what I mean?
That's great.
Not to
Don't
make a
change.
bigger point out of it. Yeah. I actually, Instagram was down for like 6 months, and I found the password yesterday, ironically, and I turned it back on. But I won't be doing much with it, I don't think.
So basically, if anybody has any questions, they can hit up at Alex Rose Films. And,
I think that's where they've been going.
Yeah, just bother Alex. He's a real nice guy, and he probably won't be able to say no to any of your requests. So
that's true.
Yeah, so hit up Alex, DM him like crazy, and he'll give you all the information you need. And then, Damon, is there anybody you want to plug, or let everybody know where to learn more about your stuff?
Sure, man. Politic brand skateboards, the vacation skateboards. Thank you to you, Steve, for setting this up. Matt, and the Threads guys for accepting and dealing with me and our team, both Vacation and Politic, for kind of believing in what I believe is good for skateboarding and sort of following the same path that I believe is good for skateboarding and sort of putting all their eggs in that basket as far as working with dudes like Matt and working with guys like Colin, Reed. I feel like my group of dudes are in a basket that, the basket they're in a group where everyone kind of puts them in the best position they can be, and they don't just use them, and that's really helpful for the brands and also the riders, and I think that says a lot, to the Threads guys and all filmers in some aspects, like Colin, Steve, he's put our dudes in good light. Same with Josh, it's just when the filmers are making videos, not for themselves but for the skaters, I think it really shows, and I don't know, Threads does that, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Again, guys, thanks for coming in. I appreciate having you guys on here. And who knows, in the future, maybe I'll have you guys both back. We'll see where things are in a year.
So we're not going to talk for a year, Steve? Is this a social experiment?
Yeah, kind of. I got to go, guys. Bye.